Hey everyone, welcome to Rogue 16. We are doing an unboxing today. Jason was lucky enough to get this piece in. I mean, I guess we've seen other people get Yuzzum in
Yep.
over the course of like the last several days, right? It's kind of
Yeah, they're
trickling into
just
people.
starting to land.
Yep. So that's really cool. And what's fantastic is we got Tom to jump on. Thank you, Tom.
Hey,
Um,
everybody.
not I know you're busy, Tom, so it's not something you can always do, but we appreciate your time.
Oh, yeah. No, thanks for having me on. It's always a blast.
Absolutely. And then Jason's got a top down camera so that he can
That's right.
he's right there. So
He's
he's
going to be
gonna
preparing dinner,
yeah,
and he'll be
exactly.
like the top chef over here.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll jump to him to do the unboxing. We just kind of wanted to show you guys a little bit about just what this is. And first of all, Tom, congrats. Because
Oh, thanks.
I mean, is this the fastest selling
Technically, fastest
Maquette?
selling, right? Technically, yeah. I mean, it's funny. People online were saying 3 minutes. Katie actually went back and checked the website, and it
Yeah.
was about 1 minute.
That's great.
Uh,
You're
wow,
talking
really?
we're talking about the
That was for the Legacy
the
Edition, and then the
legacy edition.
Signature Edition was only like 4 hours or something like that.
Right.
It was really fast,
Which is
and the
crazy.
Signature Edition was a decent size too. It
Yeah.
wasn't, the Legacy on this was tight,
Right.
and we've been with all of these, we're adjusting as we go on these edition sizes.
Mhm.
It's really tough to predict.
Yeah.
We have some things where we think we have a really great edition and beautiful sketches and all that, and it sits around a while. And then other times where
Mhm.
we think like, oh, this is just all right. Maybe it's not as big a name. Boom, gone. It's just like
It's crazy.
it's that balance of like, oh, is it going to be a little more expensive? Maybe we make a few less, or is it somebody that um, is maybe a lesser character?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, we're
So I was curious about that. I mean to interject. I was curious about that. So when we saw that the edition of the Legacy was only 40 on this, we
yeah,
kind of speculated two or three different scenarios. One being the character, right? Like, is it going to be a popular character? I always felt it's not going to be neutral. It's either going to be no or
right,
100% yes. Like everybody's going to want them, or it's just going to
Mhm.
kind of sit and marinate. I didn't think
yeah,
there was going to be like that sort of in between. Then I thought, okay, Neil's an amazing guy, right? Amazing artist, etc.
hmm
But we all know, not all, but some people who may know, Nilo kind of, tends to keep to himself, and he's a private guy, and so I
hmm
just didn't know, like, was his participation a contributing factor where, like,
right,
oh, I don't
yeah.
want to do 50, 60 drawings, I don't want, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
and you don't have to answer that, but that was more speculation.
I,
And
I
then just
actually can't.
overall,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Did you have a third theory to throw into? Because I can speak to the first two. I have no problem with it. But what was the
Yeah,
other?
and then the third was just, again, a matter of, like, compared to what we've released up to date and where we are now,
Yeah,
do we play it safe and find like a middle ground, or do we
Mhm.
kind of,
yeah,
go based on what we think the popularity is? So yeah, I mean, yeah, if
yeah.
you can answer the first
And
one, that'd be
and
amazing.
honestly, there's definitely a little of number one and a little of number three. Number two actually wasn't an issue at all. Nilo was, um, he's a private guy, keeps to himself. He's sort of a bit separated from a lot of this, um, but a great guy and was very quick to jump in on this with us and really willing and able to do whatever we needed on it. We did think the character may not be that popular. He's sort of barely seen in the original trilogy, and then the new version of him is a little different. And we didn't know, he's also a little polarizing, I guess. Um, but yeah, it's I've always just loved him. I would see this, see the old behind the scenes where they're like plugging him into the wall in
Hmm.
Yeah.
from Star Wars to Jedi, and
Yeah.
there's another couple of shots of someone like putting some fur on him, and there's a fun pic, like a shot of him like closing himself in a crate and getting his hand caught in the crate and stuff.
Mhm.
It's all like goofy stuff, but you only see it behind the scenes. So I really worried. I was like, you know, I always thought he was cool. I always thought the maquette was wicked.
Mhm.
It was one of the first ones we researched. So I had been going to the archive, the archives.
The arcade,
It's a,
the
it's
cave.
built into a mountain. It's shaped like Darth Vader's head with
Yeah.
lava, and
Yeah.
yeah. No, so I had been going to the archives for a while, and we had done work with them, restoration, things like that. Um, But when Regal Robot started up and when we expanded the license into the collectible side of things, that's when we were able to go there officially
Mm,
and not just go and look at stuff and maybe take a few pictures or measure something if it was pertinent to something we were working on, but actually be able to really research these things, whether that's 3D scanning, tons of photographs, measurements, color matching, etc. And literally the first trip, we saw Max Rebo Maquette, the Droopy McCool Maquette, the Yuzzum Maquette,
jeez.
and the Wampa Puppet. We also looked at the Gaffy Stick that trip. So the die was cast early on those ones. Those were ones I really wanted to do from the beginning. Um, and so it definitely pleased me to know that other people thought that Maquette was cool too. It definitely surprised me how fast it sold. I'll say this: I know a lot of companies are like, "Oh, we had a 1 minute sell, we had an hour sellout, we want to have a sell." I don't want that. I will go on record. My comfort zone is anything over a half hour. Anything under that, and I feel like we're just putting too much pressure on folks and on, chances of things going
Right.
wrong in terms
Yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah.
getting things in carts and checkout and whatever the heck on the other end of this too. So,
Well,
we'll
you want collectors to have a chance to
yeah,
to
like I
get
Yeah, you
want
don't
something.
want to
everybody
lose
who
it.
wants this to get a chance at it. I want it to be, look,
Yeah.
it's good. It is a special edition. You don't want I shouldn't say special edition around Yasm, but you want these things to have the cachet of being limited and have it be something not everyone has.
Yeah.
But for at least our core fans, I don't want them left out. It's like, okay, if somebody who's never heard of us before finds us in 5 years and can't get the Yuzum that came out this year, okay, you're a
Yeah.
little late to the party.
Sure.
But for all the folks in the Regal Robot fan group on Facebook or on our mailing list or whatever, I'd love for everybody who wants one to
Of
have a
course.
chance at it
Of
for
course.
everything we do.
Of course. Was there another concern, Tom, with the special edition side of this where it's like obviously they CGI'd him in, and
Yeah.
were you concerned about that at all? Because that was a very controversial situation that
It's
I
funny.
mean,
I kind of managed to keep them separate in
sure,
my
yeah,
head. And there is another maquette
right.
that was made for the special edition. It's giant too and really
Oh,
beefy.
Yeah, he's a
interesting.
big
It is
boy.
much
Yeah.
more that new look with the pet. He's got like the different chest and he's got the
Mm,
dog legs and
And
stuff.
he doesn't have that like grittiness to the original trilogy. He's very more
Yeah.
refined and clean cut, which I feel like this is not to speak ill against the execution of the piece, but it
Yeah.
doesn't share that like wonkiness and that sort of like just the flaws that were put into just throwing
There's
these
a
together
charm
for
that comes with
example.
that.
yeah,
Like,
Yes.
something that has crooked teeth has more charm than something with straight teeth.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's kind of like when you see stuff that Phil Tippett makes, there's usually a scar on it somewhere. There's usually heavy, heavy asymmetry. That gives it charm.
yeah. It gives us
Um,
something
oh
interesting.
gosh, somebody put graffiti on
Look at
that.
that
That's
signature.
worthless. Um,
I gotta say, his signature is looking pretty slick these days. It's getting
ah,
cleaner and
thanks.
cleaner.
Dapper.
I, it's funny that got dialed in years ago. I used to, and still, in fact, I was just doing some today. I build guitars, and on the headstock, that was the Spina that I would put on there. I actually do something different with them now, but that was just,
Did you have to
it.
practice that, Tom? A couple times?
I just kind of, it's pretty much my handwriting
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with
That's funny.
a little more lean, like.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, this one it's interesting, Tom. I think I was mentioning to Jason. I don't know if you heard us talk about this, but like, um, it seems to me that if you put fur on something, everybody wants it. Like
Rob says that. I don't,
I
I
believe
never
that.
thought about it,
I
but
believe that.
yeah,
I think it's interesting that like now I'm a big Ewok guy, so like
yeah.
that's I get it. But like at the same time, the minute I saw this guy, I was like, man, I gotta have this. This is fantastic.
Thanks.
It really is. It's a great piece.
Thank you, thank you.
And just
It's
to
funny.
speak on that too,
Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
No. I was just gonna say. I mean, I've told this before, but the fur on that was one of the things that I identified immediately on that first trip. I was there with another guy that does
Mhm.
puppets as well. Like that was where I got my start. and he does stuff for Henson and all of that. Does a lot
Mm.
of animatronic work, and uh, we both looked at it and we were like, we rattled off like the make, the model, the color. Like we were like, that's this
That's
in this
funny.
color. It was like, yep. And I was like, okay, good. Like, and
That's
sure
crazy.
enough, it was. We brought a sample the next time we came, and I was like, yep, there it is.
That's so
But I
cool.
love that because usually we have the opposite. Usually we have the like, well, it's not quite this and it's not
Right.
quite
What is it?
that, and now we can't get. We got to get this made. Like, where does
Yeah.
like they managed to use something that was only available for 6 weeks in 1976.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I mean that's true. I love it. I just think Jason, we talked about this. I just think you could add whatever you have to add fur to. It's a seller.
Yeah.
Like it just
And
is.
it's
It's
a cool hair too, because it's like if you look up close, it's like brown, like a golden brown with
mm,
black and a blonde hair going through it. So it's not just like one color.
variations.
And
Yeah.
we do spray treatments on it with color to darken it up in areas. We trim it so that it's shorter in areas. Like it's not even just like you put
That's
fur on
cool.
this. Like we cut the patterns out, and then someone's got to trim them down, and then they're airbrushing, and then they're gluing it on. Like it's a lot of work that goes into each of these little
That's
guys.
really cool. Jason, you want to start getting into it?
Yep. I'm just so Tom, one thing I was gonna ask. Sorry, you guys can't see me. I know it can be a
No,
little
you're good.
confusing.
You're good.
So I know this isn't technically a first mixed media. I know Yak Face has a little bit of hair on him.
Mm,
Is it Weequay has the ponytail?
Weequay, yeah.
yeah.
But where
And
that's
this
just kind of
necklace.
Yeah.
oh, that's right. Yep, the necklace, correct. So with that being said, where this is a little bit more, robust. I mean, he's got what? He's about 50, 60% covered. Probably a little bit more than
Uh,
what, 70% covered, we'll see.
well, I think
Did
I guess
that
it's hard to quantify his arms and legs because they're so
Sure.
spindly. But it's a
did
few
that
it's a
make
few individual pieces that have to get cut out for each one.
did you find that in the sort of the production and manufacturing process, especially you do so much of this by hand, did you find that to be a little bit more challenging, like finding the right way to do it where everything
Yeah,
stays in place and fits well and fluffs well and what have you?
yeah. Well, and the other thing that happens a lot on something like this is you'll prototype this as one piece. Because we're experimenting with color, we're experimenting with the hair, we're making sure that everything goes together well. But then when we decided to go into production, we decided to make it separate pieces so that the legs were separate from the torso, so that look, shipping companies love to drop stuff.
Yeah.
And if something
Mhm.
happened, okay, now we can just replace the legs or just replace the torso for someone. Um, and so in doing that, we actually had to modify the patterns to now work with his sort of like it's almost like a little furry speedo, and then his sort of the top section. Um, so yeah, definitely a little trial and error on that. Always is on this sort of thing. Um, the I'm lucky that for me personally, like patterning stuff out comes pretty naturally. I've done so
hmm
much with werewolves and monsters and cantina creatures and
Well, and
puppets over the years. Um,
and Chewy. I mean, you
and
guys are
Chewy,
yeah, you
exactly.
guys do that so much now too.
And for Yuzzum, I actually have a woman named Sam Martino who spent a couple of years working at a puppet shop in New York City. So she's
Mm.
now got a lot of experience making little patterns and stuff like that, and she's really picked it up. So with the Yuzzum, I was able to show her the fur direction, show her what we wanted, give her some notes, and she did a pass at it. We made a few notes, she did another pass, and then it was just that modification for production after that. But it is a little like you have to sometimes uh I've seen where like we'll have a pattern one way and you end up changing it to the reverse because it's physically hard to keep in place while you're gluing it or something like that.
Mm.
There's all these little factors that you try to outthink ahead of time, but you really can't until you start doing it. And it's good. I mean, when we're doing a run like this, we've always got a few samples to make. We've always got stuff for Lucasfilm and whatever. We've got some things, we've got internal samples we've got to do for our photos and whatever. We should talk about how cool that is, by the
Yeah,
way.
that's actually really cool.
um, but yeah, so um, the The coolest part about all of these is the variety in the sketches. And I love Nilo's style. It's scratchy and cartoony.
Mhm.
It is unique to all the other ones that we've had.
Yep.
And yeah, I guess, are those supposed to be like Twi'lek head tails of someone running away from him, or is that a claw coming at him? I don't know.
Yeah, this is I'm looking at it now. This is I'm gonna just angle this a little bit. This drawing is fantastic. Is there any rhyme or reason how you pair the art with what number the plaque is, or is that just
No,
as you
it's
guys are packing
completely
them or
random. And it was one of the things when we started doing the legacy editions, we said, because we do, if someone requests us a number, and as long as their place in line when they ordered is prior to the number they're requesting, uh, we'll usually try and make that happen when it's possible. So somebody would have gotten number 15 and they say, "Hey, can I get number 40?" And no one's requested it yet. Sure, you can have number 40. Um, the With the sketches, we knew it would just be a huge can of worms to get people trying to request sketches. You'd have multiple
Yeah.
people trying to get the same one. You
That's
couldn't
too hard.
show all of them. You couldn't put numbers on them. So it's just completely random. We put them in a pile and we just pull out randomly and put them with the plaques as they go when Ross or Katie are packing these up, and they get archival taped into place. They have an archival backing board on behind it. And the cool thing here, and we really lucked out. So Nilo has a wild signature. It's almost like a logo, but it's very
Mhm.
tall
yeah, I get it.
and not very wide.
Yep.
And because of that, and because Judy writes small naturally, were able to get both of them on that plaque, which made me really, really happy because Nilo did the original sketch of what the Yuzzum was going to be. Very, almost like the sketch on there. He was just taller, very minimal, not a ton of detail. And then Judy went and sculpted the maquette and really fleshed out how the character was going to look. And it's just, I love, that it was that kind of a team up, and I think it's just really cool that both of them were so into it and
Yeah.
happy to sign the plaques for this, and to
The
me
Looks
it just
great.
makes it that much more special to have both on
Yeah,
there.
it
the
looks really good.
signatures look I gotta say the signatures look great together. Sorry, the plexi is very reflective
Yeah,
because
no
it's
worries.
I just peel the covering
Yeah,
off,
no, we're
hence
seeing
the
you.
light, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean Judy's signature is almost I mean, it's almost machine like. It looks like it's a facsimile. It's so perfect. And then you're right, Milo just has that really smooth swoop with the two dots, almost
It's a
has a
cool
half
Nilo's got a really cool signature
Yeah.
with the
yeah.
dots on him.
To him,
Yeah.
It's
it's got like Sarlacc vibes or something going on. I really
Oh,
Honestly,
dig
maybe. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
honestly, Tom, I think it's interesting. We talked about this previously as well. He's got a very all these sketches are very storyboard type esque,
Yes.
which is really cool.
yes.
Adds to the maquette feel, right? The
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
archive
part of
feel.
production, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. The variety that we've been getting in these sketches to me just makes me so happy.
It's
Like,
cool. It's cool.
Phil's stuff is crazy.
It's crazy.
Um, Nilo's got that sketchy storyboard thing. Ken Ralston's got the cartoonist
Hmm.
thing with full color.
Yep.
Wayless has that.
You've got some watercolor type versions too, don't you? Of some stuff.
That's the Dave Carson ones are
Yeah,
like full fledged paintings.
it's
I
really
mean,
cool.
holy crap! um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so there you go. You got two holes which are just there to keep the feet from moving around,
Hmm.
and then that center hole is for the peg that
The
goes in his back. That little
post.
museum stand that we
Yep.
included with this guy, and pardon me, as the instructions did say earlier, don't display him without his little museum stand, that little rod that goes up his backside.
Yeah, you
You
His
guys
guys,
okay
legs
if I
are
just
too
before
spindly.
you get back, I'm just gonna go over once more.
yeah.
So the assembly instructions for those who receive it will see attach legs to body, aligning with the magnets at the waist. Must use, do not display without the included black 1/8 inch black post. Insert the back post into the hole on the figure's rear underside. And the wood base, as we show here, has one small hole. Then we have the two larger holes for the feet.
Yep.
Insert the metal post into the small hole carefully, lowering the figure and aligning the foot pegs. All right, we're
That
gonna
makes sense.
start off. All
Tom,
right, this is gnarly right
did you
here.
guys have to did you guys have to wait for the did you have to wait for the wood blocks to come in longer
Yeah,
than
yeah. In fact, that was the one thing that was I don't want to say delaying because this was only
sure.
sold a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago.
no, yeah.
But that was our last element to come in to ship them. And we've been doing well with getting the crew ahead on making stuff. They're actually they've finished all of the paid in full Yuzzums have
Mhm.
been done for a while. They are working on the Yuzzums, or they will be working on the Yuzzums for payment plans in the next month or so. They'll start
Nice.
up on that so that when the payment plans finish up, they'll be ready to
They'll be
go.
finished. Yeah.
Yeah, the gun there was missing on the original maquette. So Jason Eaton actually knew a lot of the model kit parts, actually all of the model kit parts, of course,
Yeah,
from
I see
Jason.
very familiar
Um,
pieces on here, which is
and
great.
so
It's
we
crazy.
use those to come up with this interpretation of it, and you know, it's in a flexible resin, so it's pretty sturdy stuff, and it's got a magnet built into the handle there, so in the
Mm.
stock, so that it can
You can
magnetize
even
into his
see
hand,
it's hard
and
to
that
see,
way
but you
people
can
can
even see
display it either
the
with the
price.
gun, which is how he is in all the vintage pictures, or with no gun, which is how he is in the archives now.
Okay.
Um, Careful, you'll shoot your
Yeah,
eye
the
out, kid.
detail on the detail on this is magnificent. You can even I'm trying to show there's even a little like a
Oh
little
yeah, like
sight.
the little hollow through scope. Yeah.
Yeah, the little exactly. And if for some who may not be completely familiar with modeling, but you'll see some of the flak pieces. This is in the chin of the chicken walker, and there's a
Oh,
lot of
nice.
familiar
There
parts
you
in there.
go.
But
Yeah.
I mean, this thing isn't small by any means.
Right.
This is a
Yeah, it's
decent size,
nice.
but the
Yeah,
detail.
it's not
It's
an
nice.
So
insignificant piece. We've
each
been
side has some subtle variations. So you look at that side, and then you
yes.
get some changes from this side, which I
Yeah,
love.
and a lot of that
Mm.
variation comes out of us being able to work with those original model parts, you know, because we were guessing at the other side
Mm.
originally. And then when we were able to see those parts, it was like, oh, well, oh, there it is. It's not the same on both sides. So it's the sort of thing that I hate to say it, like, boy, it really doesn't make a huge difference on this thing if the back of the gun has the right detail.
Sure.
You know, the gun that isn't even with him in the archives. But for us, like, hey, you know, we want to get this right.
Yep.
Oh, there he is.
Gosh, the fur is so sick.
Oh, this is great. I'm gonna give a quick peek before I assemble them.
Yeah,
Show them up close.
Yeah, that's
Great
I
cool.
love his
detail on the
eyeballs,
eyes.
the teeth. He's got
The
that
teeth.
Wallace and
Oh, look
Gromit
at the
mouth.
teeth.
Yeah, yeah, he does.
Yeah, I
It's
love
Yeah.
it.
exactly what it
And
is.
the fur has
Gromit.
It's
the fur
exactly
has a
what that
great
is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
the fur has a great texture, and you can kind of play with it a little bit. Like anybody who's familiar
Yeah,
with
always
having a
helps to
Yeah,
sleeve
fluff
that
it up.
you can,
just fluff
We
it up.
actually do
yeah,
texturize the fur a little too, so that it's not too fresh. Like if that was, it would, you know, we don't want to put teddy bear hair on this stuff. So we make sure
Yeah,
that everything gets, you know, some texturizing and a little spray and make sure that everything feels like something real and
yeah,
not a toy.
yeah. You want him to
I love.
you want to feel like he smells like a wet dog, kind of like he's
Right.
he's got that like long
Yeah,
time.
that's the look it has. It almost gives you that vibe when you see it. What I like
Yeah,
here, if
that's
you can
cool.
look up close here, is it it doesn't look like something that's been produced, right, in edition size. You
Mhm.
look I mean, you guys are known for doing such great work, but it just really gives that, like, molded by hand look, very rudimentary, very, like it doesn't
Yeah, that's
look
cool.
like it's cast or yeah, it just looks like it's naturally made. Even the corners of the mouth hair. Like if you look at that detail, it just and then just the
Really cool.
eyes and the eyelids. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, all the hand paint, you know, and it's funny in in the image it's tough to tell, but like even on this, the droopy area below his eyes, those are layers of paint on that, so it's not just solid pink. When you get it in
Yeah,
person, there's layers going on
that's
there,
so cool.
and all of it is just trying to match what Judy did, you know,
Right.
trying to come up with uh
Do you?
you even if you can color match something, even if you can go into the archives and put your hands on it and take a Pantone book and say, "Oh, this is Pantone 123." Yeah, but you couldn't just put paint 123 on it
Right.
because you have to be putting it in a translucent layer over two other layers. So
Right.
even when we're doing that stuff, we have to be thinking like, "Oh, what went on first? What went on second? How was this
Mm.
weathered? You know, what was the aging like?" Yeah, I love the moccasins.
Dude, it's so
Yeah,
funny.
they just
He's got like fur pants. He's got like fur underwear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
it's
crazy.
just part of his body, but yeah,
Yeah.
when you take the legs off, he's
Yeah.
got a little like furry
So
speedo going on.
funny, dude. That's
So
amazing.
just to point out, here's the connecting point of the magnet, and then
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll pick the torso up again carefully because these legs are quite long. It's kind of hard to see on screen.
yeah,
And then you have the entry
Mm.
port here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect those.
yeah. Pretty. That's the easy
Oh,
part.
the magnet's got a little bit of strength to it too, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody who's ever bought one of our like wall hanging like just the actual like decor magnets, they know we like strong magnets. Like,
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
looks
with
he
that
looks
being
killer.
said, I would say once he's assembled, if for any reason you have to unassemble him, I
yeah.
wouldn't tug at the legs at all or the feet.
No, I would
I would
pull by the
definitely go
hips.
at the waist. Yeah,
Yeah.
right at the hips, guys, just because it does have some strength to it. So if you pull from hair, yeah, you might cause an accident. So always, if you have to separate for any reason, do it here.
Tom,
And I'm
were
just,
you
figuring out now.
Tom, were you concerned about the legs with you had to be, right, with shipping,
Oh
like,
yeah.
that has to be super
Yeah, and
concerning.
that was why we made them separate. It's like,
Right.
look, the good thing about making stuff in house is that we don't have to like uh, do these in one batch and wrap everything, and all the molds get trashed and everything is gone. We can stand by basically as they ship, and it's like, hey, somebody has an issue with shipping, no problem,
Yep.
let's get you a replacement set of legs, let's get you a
Yep.
replacement torso, maybe an arm got dinged up or something. He's spindly, it's like you hate to say it, but like, okay, there's probably gonna be some breakage in
Yeah,
shipping.
right.
We get stuff that we're like, there's no way someone can break this. Like things that are solid, big, chunky resin stuff, and it's like still somehow they manage. So,
Well, those shipping
um,
company, those UPS and FedEx, they don't care
yeah,
about
it's
anything.
they hand it off to Ace Ventura. I
It's
I
so
mean, look,
true.
our local guys are really good. Our local UPS and FedEx guys, they're so nice. They help us
Well,
out with pickups all the
and
time and
Tom,
everything.
if anybody, if people are watching this that haven't ordered something from you guys,
Yeah.
they don't know how, like, your boxes are ridiculous. Like, your boxes are, like, bulletproof almost. They are
Yeah.
ridiculously
And it's
strong.
double boxed
Right.
on top of that.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is double box. It had plenty of paper around the first box. The second box was very
They're
well
super thick
packed.
boxes too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we
So here we
usually
go.
use
We
double
get the
corrugated
cables.
boxes on the
Mhm.
outer boxes. So there you go. Yeah. One
Yep,
pick
to
up
get
the
the
butt,
trios,
he's
and
good to
I
go.
have them
Yeah,
held
just
up pretty
straight up the
safe.
butt, huh? It's crazy.
That's it.
You get the rod, go right into the backside. I'm going to
Yep.
carefully turn him just so you can get an idea of what he looks
And
like. I'm going to rest
he
him in my hand.
would have been earlier in these editions
So cool.
if I had thought of the idea of the rod earlier, because we were trying to figure out how we can make it work with steel through the legs or
Mhm.
metal cast legs. We were trying a whole bunch of different stuff. And he just always kept getting pushed to the wayside. And he's complicated. He had the gun, he's got spindly stuff. He's not an easy one, the fur, all of that.
Ah,
But
this is amazing.
we did the edition for the dagger
Yep.
last year, the Thuggy dagger,
Mhm.
and we used a museum stand for it. Basically, it was a custom welded piece, but the idea was an artifact stand. And I just looked at it, and I'm like, these are artifacts. Like
Yeah.
nobody would care if Yuzzum has a little stand in his back because this is like something, it is from a museum,
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
from the archives. Like, and as
It's
soon as I
smart.
could put that out of my mind, like it's not an action figure, it's okay to have a rod.
Right.
Then it was just like, oh my gosh, we can do this. And we
100%.
within like a couple of weeks, we had the first prototype.
No, it's totally, yeah, you're right. It absolutely feels very museum-like to have
Yeah.
something like that, 100%.
And it's like if it was a statue, if this was a Superman statue or a Wolverine or whatever, or even a Star Wars statue, and it had a
Mhm.
support rod, everybody would hate it,
Of
and
course.
I would understand it
Of
because
course.
you're with a statue, you're capturing a moment in time, and
Mhm.
you're trying to not have anything that distracts you from that. Totally makes sense. But like our display busts have a big post coming up the center, and nobody goes like, wait a minute, CZ3 doesn't have a post going up his back,
Right.
or
Yep.
what, like this is when you think of it as an artifact, it just changes everything, and it makes it it just works. And
Yeah.
I was just really glad that uh I don't think anybody actually, like, when we do stuff like this, we're like, all right, who's going to complain? Someone's going to. I don't know that anybody really even complained about that. So
I
I'm
I
really happy.
I've not heard any, yeah, I've not heard anybody anywhere. I mean, we talked to when we have Tony and Parminder on and Nathan and
Uh-huh.
those guys, nobody said anything about that. I mean, everybody gets it. His legs are really thin. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's just
it makes
and
sense.
it's the sort of thing like it facilitates us getting it into our
Right.
collect because I'm like you guys, I just want to have the stuff.
Yeah, sure.
That's why we're doing this, you know?
Yep.
Like, um, I, I love it. He's like he's like in the witness protection
Yeah.
program. Like, it's just,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
don't show his
Yeah, I get a
antenna.
little
That's
bit
how
of
they
blur going
identify
on.
them. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
kind
get
of.
your
Take the
head
blur off.
behind
Take
him,
the
I'll
blur
bet
off,
the
Jason.
antenna will show.
Well, it's just, yeah, let me see that. It's just because of where I'm wearing that. Hold on, let me
That's
take
so
that
funny.
off. Okay, yeah, we'll do this. Okay,
Oh,
here
there
we
you
go.
go.
There you
And
go.
my
There he
light's
is.
a little bit more
He's
grainy compared to the bottom down camera, but
That's
no,
okay.
this
it's
guy, I mean, he is not small. Look at
No,
this.
I mean,
yeah.
that's a large piece,
Yeah,
dude.
he's like
That's crazy.
11 and a half, 12 inches, something
He's-
like that. He's pretty big.
Yeah,
I like
I
I
was
like
gonna
that the
say,
block, Tom, I like that the block is pretty thick too. Like it's a
Yeah.
pretty sizable block too, which is cool.
That's, you know,
I
we
actually like I like the rod, Tom. I think it gives that aspect of like you said, a museum piece, right? It has that
thank you.
museum
Yeah, it's
display,
cool.
and
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, it actually doesn't take away from it at all.
this guy gets it.
Yeah.
Now, and you know, with the block base, that's it's the standard size. Inch and a half is what we use on almost all the other ones. On all the other ones, um, and there have been a few times where we almost varied from it,
Mhm.
where we had a piece that was maybe a little less substantial, maybe like prune face. I think was one where we
Mhm.
almost did a 1 inch block instead of inch and a half, and it actually elevated the piece to have it a little thicker. Like I thought it was going to dwarf it or make it feel out of,
Yeah.
you know, out of scale or out of proportion, but it actually elevated the piece and it made it work. And it, you know, so it's like okay, inch and a half it is, you know, that's and so
It looks
we've kind of
great.
stuck with that going forward.
It looks great, and honestly, the even the transition of the underwear to the
Yeah,
other part of his body, I mean, you can't see any of that. Like,
You
obviously,
can't
the fur
tell.
is great to cover all that up, but
When you
it's like
first
Yuzzum
yeah, when you
Underoos.
first take
yeah.
Yeah,
the
and
when you
that's
first take the legs out, you can tell, but once it's together, it blends seamlessly. And again, that's also something you
So
want to be
cool.
conscientious of. If again, if you ever have to separate it, just feel
you don't get
for
the
it. You'll
hair
feel
caught
that
in
one
them.
section, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
because
funny too because
it blends perfectly.
when we made the change to the separate legs, it was a question. It was like, all right, well, we'll do it if you don't see the seam.
Right.
And you know, mentally you go, well, the hair goes in a downward direction. So if, as long as you're going under it, it's gonna hide.
Mhm.
And it should hide. But you know, half the time that doesn't work. You know, it's like anytime you have something like there's a thing that used to happen when you would make a rubber mask back in the day. You'd sculpt something and you'd like put some crazy detail into it. And you're like, that's definitely going to be in the mold, no problem. And then you get like on the back and you're doing a thing and there's a little scuff or a scratch. And you're like, that'll never show in the mold. Of course, what shows up? The scuff. What doesn't show up? Your detail. Like it's just, you just can't predict this stuff sometimes.
So crazy, yeah. Dude, it's great. Jason, how do you feel about the sketch you got?
I actually love it. I don't think I would have been. It's subjective, right? Art is subjective, so you can get a piece that you might not like, which is understandable. But with Nilo, as Tom mentioned, he has a very specific aesthetic and style, right? The way he executes his drawings. But I also mentioned this before when we did the spotlight was anybody who owns one of the three books, right? The Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi sketchbooks. It has that feel, right? It feels like you kind of pulled a page out of that book
Mhm.
and
It
stuck it in a
totally
frame.
does.
And
Yeah.
I love that. I love that because we've all thought of that when we were younger, right? Like I'm gonna cut this out and frame it just because it looks so cool,
Yeah.
and it just gives the same vibes. I mean, it's fantastic.
We just did
I love that he has this gun too. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Tom, but I love that he
oh
has
no.
the
Yeah,
big gun
that's
in his
he
Yeah.
hand.
put that in a
That's
few
such
of
a
them
plus
too, which was
because
great.
yeah,
Um,
the fact that he has the gun there and then the gun there, I mean that's I'm loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
we did we just did the giveaway at the Regal Facebook group, the Regal Robot Fan Collector Showcase. If anybody's not there yet, please go join us. It's a lot of
Mhm.
fun. But we did a giveaway where the top prize was an Urn of Nurhachi AP, which is super crazy rare. And, you know,
Mhm.
that went over great. We did one of the old reference books. We also, but the middle prize I think was Prop Store gave us a storyboard page one of the photocopy ones used in production
Yeah.
that Dennis Murin signed, which was great.
Mm,
But Dave Carson saw it, and on Facebook in the Regal Facebook group chimed in and actually pointed out that there was an N on the numbering of that storyboard, which meant Nilo was the one who drew that. And
Oh,
interesting.
I
okay.
love being able to see that stuff. Like
That's
um,
cool.
there's a bunch of drawings we were going through for Jabba's Palace monsters, and it'll be like J41, N26, that kind of stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, that was Joe Johnson,
Crazy.
that was Nilo, and
That's cool.
you could start to, I mean, the styles you can sort of see right away anyway, but it's a
Right.
nice confirmation. So you're like, oh, okay, that really is him. Great, look at that
Yeah.
guy.
He's great.
This is
He's, he's
this is
great.
I mean, again, I know it's all subjective, but this thing is fantastic. And this is a little different. We've had you on as a guest many times, which we appreciate, but this is the first time we wanted to do an unboxing, actually show the piece and talk a little bit about the process. Because usually what we do is we talk about the process first and
Right.
then the pieces go out. But we actually got to do it while in hand because there's a lot of things we were curious about, right? This is very different. Again,
Yeah.
a lot of logistical things to figure out. The fact that it's a significant, mixed media piece compared to some of the earlier ones. Having the dual signature, which is this the first dual signature? It is, right?
The first Maquette dual signature. We
Okay,
did
dual
a
signature.
dual
Yes, because
signature on.
Salacious
Oh
was a
no, I'm
dual.
sorry. We actually have the Grogu Maquette has Christian Altsman, who did
Mm,
the art, and Tony McVeigh, who did the sculpt.
okay.
And then our
Okay.
Salacious Crumb has Tim Rose, who performed
Like,
it, and Tony McVeigh, who did the sculpt.
Tony who did it.
Uh,
Yep.
but it is the
Okay.
first dual signature Legacy edition, and it's the first of the Return of the Jedi Maquettes that have a dual signature.
Wow.
Now, do you think that I know Nilo didn't necessarily do a lot of the maquettes. I know he did a lot of the artwork. Do you
Yeah.
think you'll see any pieces from Nilo in the future?
I nothing specific yet,
Okay.
but there's definitely some possibilities there. We'd love to work with him again. It was great. I mean, look, uh, we're so freaking lucky that we can call on these people and that we actually just signed something with someone else that for a future edition this week, and in my head, all I'm expecting every time we pitch one of these is, leave me alone, kid. Yeah, who are you? Get out of here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want nothing to do with your toys. Like I mean, and 201, they've all been enthusiastic about the stuff and interested in what we're doing. And
You
I mean,
gotta
maybe
love it.
it helps that we are all about celebrating the people who made these movies, the people behind the scenes, the unsung heroes, the guys who inspired all of us to do this stuff for a living. And um maybe that's a factor, maybe that's why, maybe the line itself now is impressive enough that people see it and want to be a part of it. uh
Well, it
maybe it's
helps.
that
It helps, Tom, too, that you have a reputation for making things that have really high quality. That
thanks.
you're trying to make things that look and feel exactly as they're supposed to, right? So, I mean, I say this all the time, Jason. You've heard me say it as many times that like the maquette line itself is a good example of you guys keeping to exactly what these things are made, whether you like that or not. As in,
Right.
like, I'm not a huge fan of all the way all the maquette lines look, but I'm not the guy, right?
Right.
I'm not the person that's getting all of
You're
those.
like,
Like,
some of them don't even have fur.
well,
Like,
some of them, they look very raw, right? Some of
yeah,
these pieces, and but they're exactly, you
Just
make them
yeah, just
exactly
supposed
how
to.
they're
yeah,
supposed to look. And I tell people all the time, if that's what you want, if you want that archive feel,
yeah.
nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is going
No.
to do
You know what I just made a connection to on the music side of things? They are the demo. They're
that.
the
Yeah,
demo tape. It's like,
Pretty
and
much,
I
yeah.
personally, like, I have bands that I like that I used to go to,
mhm,
swaps and things like that, and you trade cassette tapes with someone
right.
that had a demo of 3 songs that are like the
Demo or
early
beat
version
tag,
with the
yeah.
other singer, or where the
Yep.
chorus was now the solo and the solo is now the verse, and it's like, I freaking love that stuff. I'm like, it feels like I'm looking at something that I've known my whole life. And then someone went, wait, no, there's more over here. And it's like,
Yeah.
what more I can
Well,
enjoy of Yuzzum?
and Tom, people they still make records like that for people still chase after that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So like,
So
yeah, there's people that want
in
that
that
specific.
process being able to sort of like be a, you know, a peek behind the curtain, if you will, or that like work in progress aspect, because most of the time as consumers, as fans, as, you know, listeners, moviegoers, we're always seeing the refined finished
Mhm.
element, right? We're always getting the polished part. That's why even Light and Magic, you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
watching those episodes of Fantastic is you get to see everything that goes into it. It makes you appreciate it more, but it also it
Yeah.
just makes for a more interesting piece. So when you see, like, say, the finished character in the film, or like we were saying earlier, a lot of people only know him as the CGI version and the
Right.
special edition,
Right.
and aren't even aware that he's a blink and
Right.
you miss it
Right.
character that exists in the original.
Yeah.
So that's
Mhm.
another thing where some people may have only been introduced to him, at least in their psyche, during the later releases, and
Well,
not knowing that he was, you know, an
He was
original
Jason,
there
piece.
it's
from the
it's
beginning.
it's very much like it's very much like CZ3. You see CZ3 walking down the street at
Yeah.
that one
Yeah, in
shot,
your
right?
mind,
Yeah.
you just yeah.
But you
And the
don't
background of the Sandcrawler in
yes,
maybe
right. Like
2 shots.
but
But yeah.
he's there, right?
Yeah.
He's there. So it's interesting. He's in other places. You just don't realize it. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I mean,
And he's in the background of Jabba's palace twice. Like
right.
stuff like that. But it's you have to there has to be a degree of obsession,
Sure.
I think,
Sure.
to go for some of this stuff. But it's it speaks to the depth of that universe. It's like,
Mhm.
riding the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, like
Yeah,
you can ride that 50 times and always discover something new. You can
true.
watch Star Wars 50 times,
True.
100 times, trust me,
Yeah.
um, and always discover something new. We just did. So I was at Indiana Comic Con last month. They had me
Mhm.
out as a guest doing panels and stuff like that, and we did I with Pablo Hidalgo from Lucasfilm, and I have been doing these for the better part of 15 years, and we put together 2 hour long cantina panels talking about
Jeez.
things in the background of the cantina,
Oh,
and
that's
one
crazy.
hour long about the Jabba's palace aliens. um, and then I did another one on home theming and integrating what you love into your space and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And to sit there and go, we did this 2 hour version, these 2 hour long things talking about all the aliens, all the humans, all the stuff in the background, the set from the cantina. And at the end of the second hour, I go, and everybody loved it, thankfully. But I'm like,
Mhm.
you people realize like we had to cut a lot out to get it down to
That's
this.
crazy.
Like,
To get down to
and
2 hours.
every time we do one, in my head, it starts off like, oh, I got invited to do a panel. Okay, great. I'll just pull out the last one. And then when I pull it out, I pull up my notes because I have like running notes of like new little discoveries, like, oh, maybe for a panel someday. And I'm like, damn it, I got to make like 50 new slides. So I go through and I work on these things for like a week. And then I realize like every time we do this, we've learned so much more than the last time.
Yeah.
These are 50 years since they shot that cantina,
Mhm.
76, 49 years. How are we still learning?
That's
It's
crazy.
amazing. It's the best.
Well, and I was just thinking too as well with this piece that I think one of the benefits to this piece and the reason this thing sold out so fast as well is that it kind of crosses over on both sides, right? Where it's that maquette, like raw maquette, like concept piece, but it's also a very finished
Yeah.
version of one of those. And I think you get both people, right? You get people like me coming and going where I'm not a huge on the maquette line per se, but I really love this piece. Like
It's a little like, how did
it's
you
great.
feel about, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but how
Yeah.
did you feel about the Jabba the Hutt maquette, like the actual final Jabba the Hutt maquette? Does
Yeah.
that
Which one? The
so
First,
so not the one that not too snail like where he's all weird and
yeah,
gross
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
has all the extra feet, but like
Yeah.
the one that really looks like the final.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's a good piece as well. The what I would say is kind of in my opinion similar to this that I think people went nuts for is something like the because the Rancor is
oh
another
yeah, true, true. Yeah, Phil's Rancor is very close to the final.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And I would say I think I'd mentioned this to you, Jason, as well. The
that's a
Tauntaun.
good call.
So the Tauntaun, which is always fascinates me, Tom, about this thing. The
Yeah.
Tauntaun set
because
on
that
your
could that
website
caused so much
Oh
forever.
yeah.
confusion and
Nobody was buying that Tauntaun, and then all of a sudden, it got snapped up, and then all this stuff went crazy. The
Yeah.
Tauntaun's fantastic.
Thanks.
It's
That's what
fantastic.
It's one of my
But
favorite
I
things
do
Phil ever
remember
saw.
very early on, and this is before. I mean, we had conversations a few years back ad nauseum about lineage and you
Yeah.
know direct to how they were during production and the archives, because there were questions of like, well, this is it. It's just gray. It's just there's
Right.
nothing
People
to
didn't
it, and
understand it. They didn't
it
Yeah.
understand
took
what they
a
were looking
while
at.
to start, but also there wasn't a lot of like reference material being shared. There wasn't a
No.
lot of like info being shared, and unless you were a diehard or someone who deep dived down that rabbit hole out of curiosity, you
Right.
weren't always familiar with that. Then once, and that's what's great about the maquettes, because just like the found parts in the modeling world, when you start getting exposed to this, like you said, Tom, sort of that work in progress part of it, it starts to give you a deeper appreciation, not just for the character, but the steps in which they took to get to where they are. The job is a
Yeah.
perfect example, right? Three or
Mhm.
four variations of
Right.
Java, then you see what you see on screen. And with that, I think a lot of people now get to enjoy them sort of in their crude form and
Mhm.
be like, okay, well, I've always loved this character, but this isn't another variation of him. This is how he started out into what he became. And yeah, I just think that whole thing in and of itself interesting. And Matt does make a good point where you're in that fine line between something that looks unfinished because it is unfinished, right? It was just
Right.
an example to be like, hey, what do you think of this? Yay or nay, right? It's
Right.
great. Go make it better or trash it, because they're not going to
Right.
spend time, effort, energy, and
No,
resource
so
on
with
making
it's
something refined
how they
if it's
made
just
it.
going to be looked over.
Mhm.
So this gives you more of a what looks like more of a finished piece. So I think, I mean, like you said, even down to the moccasins, they're so well detailed.
It
Um,
almost looks like his name is Jason too right now. It looks like he's wearing a name tag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but
I am curious though. Do you know from just going back through info and things like that, was the gun always present? It looks like something, and I can picture this, not it looks like something that they might have did for fun after, where they just stuck the gun in his hand. Was it
no,
always
so
supposed
the
to be a
gun was
gun?
made. Judy made the gun
Okay.
with model kit parts and stuff like that, and it was made. I think she said she made it. She did confirm it was made with model kit, but it was there from the beginning. And when you
Okay.
look at him initially on set, there are pictures of him. He was puppeteered through a wall. There was a rod that went into his back and could move him.
Yeah.
And there's a good photo of him on a wall with a big giant gun just like that. So
Crazy.
Okay,
um
so he's supposed to be kind of like a creepy, funky little alien, doesn't it? A
yeah,
denizen kind
like
of
there's,
guy,
there's
or
another ruffian in the background. Initially, the idea was that the Yuzzum species, when they were sketching them, was supposed to be an Endor species, like a companion species
oh,
to the Ewoks.
Makes sense, yeah.
And that kind of makes sense with the fur.
Mhm.
But once he got picked for Jabba's palace, that was, and I mean, Judy put the gun in his hand for the maquette, so it was like, I don't know whether he stopped being an Endor character prior to the maquette or after,
Okay.
because someone handed Judy that sketch to work from, and it's a question of like, what was the intent there? Who knows at this point?
Mhm. It's just it really is fascinating the line that you guys this whole line that you guys have made, Tom, because like we were talking about before, it's almost like a study in like with all of us having to fully understand what these things are, like
Yeah,
you just don't you see all people going crazy for the Maquette line now, but like we said before, they just
it
weren't.
took a
It
little
just
while to
it
get
took
him.
a while, right?
Yeah,
You have to really educate people as to
we had to
what
bring him
this
along
is.
with us. Yeah, yeah,
100%.
maquette
Yeah.
but
education.
the
Well,
ride was the best part of it. I think the ride was the best part. That's the
Yeah,
funnest part
yeah,
of it all. Was
there
that
is
ride.
something, yeah, especially for folks like you two that were in it really from the beginning,
right.
you know, like that. There's like an in the club kind of thing that happens, and honestly, that's the
Mhm.
Facebook group is so great for that.
Yeah, right,
Like,
yep,
there's a bunch of people there that when like we recently said we have a 2-pack maquette coming out next month,
yep.
and they're already trying to guess what it's going to be.
Yeah, they're
And they're
getting
giving
it.
good reasons. They're like, oh, it could be
Yeah,
this, or I think it's going to be this, or I
yeah,
think it'll be this kind of thing. And like, there's really good logic there. They're
mhm.
all wrong. Nobody's guessed it, but it's good logic. But
It's
it's
cool.
stuff like that.
Until Rob gets that text at 2:30 in the morning, like, damn it, they guessed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So here's what's funny. Uh, that happens. That exact thing happens. Like I'll send a screenshot. I'm like, that somebody got it. Um, somebody got, so our Raiders prop that we're doing. So when is this gonna go live?
Um,
Probably Monday, right?
yeah, maybe
Monday?
Monday. Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. So tomorrow we are announcing our next Raiders of the Lost Ark prop. We'll say what it is. We'll say when it's going to be available, how long it'll be available. Probably give the price. We'll have some nice first look photos of it, and uh, people have been on our Facebook group guessing as to what that's going to be. There's multiple threads going of
That's
people guessing,
amazing. That's amazing.
and I will say this: almost no one was right. Almost. There was one person that guessed it. And it
He's
went
gonna be
by and no one
so
noticed it
happy.
or nobody commented on it or anything. So it was like me and Rob were just like, exactly. Yeah. So whew, okay. Um
That's
the
amazing.
Maquette 2-pack's gonna be fun. We have a fun way we're gonna reveal what we picked and how. But
Tom,
it's
is that a May the 5th or
no,
May the
no. So
4th thing or?
May the 4th, we are going to have we have new magnets coming out on May the 4th,
Okay, yeah.
that are very kind of prop based, very
Mhm.
behind the scenesy, super us, uniquely Regal
Cool.
Robot.
Yeah,
That's for
that's
sure.
cool.
Um, but and at a really good price, which I'm excited about.
Nice.
But so those are coming out. It's 5 different versions of something that I think people are going to really like. I hope. And
Cool.
then middle of the month, mid to late, like I think, I don't remember offhand, and I don't have, because I'm at the house, I
No,
don't
it's
have the
fine.
board
It's
to
all right.
look at, the
Yeah.
board. But
A whiteboard. Yeah.
the it's a cork board. We have to be
Corkboard.
able to move things around. We tried a whiteboard, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Um, but one will be releasing like the week of the like 18th to 20th kind of range, and then one will be releasing the following week. So one will be the Raiders prop, and one will be the 2-pack of maquettes.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Okay.
and the 2-packs, it's a lot of fun. They were already working on them. The wall cabashites are actually already done, and they're finishing shipping up the Yuzzums, and then this week actually they'll be shipping the wall cabashites, the Joe Johnston editions that we did.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah. That
and
actually
they've
went
been
over. That one went fairly well too. I mean, I know it wasn't
yeah,
a.
yeah, the
That
signature
did well because
edition, yeah,
that was an
was
easy piece.
substantial. It
Yeah.
was 83 pieces in that signature edition, and that went really quick. And then the numbered edition is still up, but that's we expected that on him.
Yeah. I mean, but it also, me and Matt talked about this prior too, which is interesting. Is and he actually made the point of it when we talked about it was you don't want to visit the website and see nothing but sold out, sold out, sold out.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a good thing because as you mentioned, there's people every day. There's a new collector coming into this fair,
Yep.
and then there's collectors who have been in but are just learning and they're figuring
Yeah.
out new things and maybe they stumble upon this video or they see somebody's post and hey, what's that? Where's
Yep.
that from? That's Regal Robot. And
Yep.
nobody wants to go to a website where everything's gone.
Oh yeah.
So if you
No,
can
that's the
say,
worst.
"Hey, okay, a few things are sold out, but wow, I can still buy this, or I can." I think that's a positive. And
I think so
Matt made
too.
a good point when he said that. Yeah,
No, it's the exact conversation Rob and I have a lot, and it is important to me that there is stuff on the website for people to buy and good stuff. And like, okay, so not every maquette is available, but enough that someone could get a substantial collection and maybe fill some stuff in on the secondary market, or make some trades or whatever. Or
yeah,
maybe you have somebody who couldn't get the legacy version of something, but the signature is still available, or couldn't get the signature, but the numbered version is still available. There's plenty of times as a collector where I've bought something as a placeholder, where I said, you know what,
yeah.
let
Happens
me
all the
get
time.
the numbered edition just so I have it, and
Mhm.
then it looks good. I have the full collection on my shelf. Everything looks great. And if someday down the line a signature one comes up, I can sell this one and it'll be fine.
And
And
then
and
offset
I
and
can
get the other
trade
one.
up. But in the meantime, you have that visual completeness. Because for me, it's all about the maquettes themselves. Like the signatures
Mhm.
are great, the sketches are great, but like you look at my shelf in the office. Well, one, I'm limited on space. It's a tiny office. But two, like I want it to look like the shelves at the archives. I just
Mm.
want the artifacts themselves. And uh, I would if I was just collecting these and not part of the company, I would absolutely be scooping up a numbered edition if I missed out on one. Like Max Rebo, perfect example. You
Right.
know, very limited, a
Yeah,
signature edition that went crazy at Celebration. The numbered edition is still available. It's To me, that's a no-brainer piece because it's such a fun sculpt, such a major character. It's a fill piece. It's
Very
like
affordable.
signature
Yeah.
numbered, whatever. Just get it.
Well, and it's
Mhm.
interesting. I don't know if you mentioned this or not, Jason, but we talked to, in talking with Tony and Parma about this stuff. Um, I just laughed because I'm like, guys, how at some point, how are you going to display all these maquettes, and on top they're coming out with so many more, and on top of that, like they each have like
Your
these
plaques.
signatures and plaques and sketches, and like where are you putting all
You
this
know
stuff?
how,
It's
Matt?
crazy.
All right. Spoiler: in 2026, there'll be the Regal Robot Curio Maquette cabinet
Yeah,
available.
exactly.
No, I'm kidding. That's
Made
Netflix.
for this stuff.
The Macabinet,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
will. Yes.
exactly, exactly.
All right. So Monday, when you go back to the office, be like, "Hey, Rob, guess what? When I was on the, you
That's
just
right.
start
It's
thinking like
And
that
now
might
I'm
actually
Right.
work."
And
getting into
it'll have
furniture.
like it'll be like a double shelf sort of scenario where like everything is stepped, and the first step is the height of a signature plaque, and then the second step is for the maquettes, and
That'd
then
be
there's another
amazing.
step for plaques.
That'd be
That would be
amazing.
that would actually be great. And then
That's
it can
amazing.
even add too where you have specific spaces set for the future one, so people can keep guessing. Well, this
Right,
is this
yeah.
date.
Sizes,
With like a
sure.
black blurry
Exact
blob
sizes,
sprayed in
totally,
Like,
place,
yeah.
like in
see
the
the back
shape
of the
of a
credit card,
man
yeah.
so that Ian Thompson dies. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, you'll get a silhouette cutout of what might be coming. Yeah.
yeah.
Real question
That's
about the 2-pack.
yes.
And I'm not trying to guess what it is, but out of curiosity, is it something that's kind of just like it's in tandem, meaning like the pieces fit together? And I say this just like as an example, like Royal Guard, right? How they flank Vader, like they go
Right.
together,
Yeah, yeah,
or is
yeah.
it just a
So
2-pack where
it is not a duplication in any way.
okay,
I guess I kind of said that no one guessed it, even though we've had a bunch of people guessing so far. So I would say it's not then the cane heads, which are technically kind of two things intertwined.
oh yeah, they do
The
those.
two snakehead looking guys.
Kind of remind me
Um,
of the Willow piece when I see those,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
But it is two individual maquettes,
Hmm.
and I think it's really fun. It's a very very limited sort of connection. I can think of one way that they're kind of connected, but actually not two. But that'll be for another show. But it's going to
I
be a
think we
great set.
should.
It's not going to be terribly high priced at all either. I think it's going to be something. It's just I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think um, you know the folks that have come along for this ride are I think going to respond well to it and want to bring them in with
And
the rest of
are we gonna see a signature plus legacy or numbered
that's
plus
all stuff we
signature?
can talk about I think when it gets closer.
That'll come sooner. Okay. So stay tuned to the, anybody that joined the
Exactly,
Facebook
yeah,
group
I
yet,
gotta
which
have some. Look,
you
a
guys are
girl's got
doing
to have
great
her
too.
secrets. uh,
He's got to have something to talk about,
yeah,
Jason. Holy shit.
Facebook group's doing
join the
amazing
Facebook
too.
group and we'll maybe
Yeah.
we'll put some teasers out there or something. Yeah,
A
we'll
lot of great
probably
info
start
in there
teasing
and
that relatively soon. Like we're trying to give each thing a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah,
So
sure.
this week we've got the Raiders proper announcement. Then we've got May the 4th. So maybe sometime after May the 4th we can start talking about what this 2-pack might be and teasing some
Tom,
information
are
out.
you seeing people collecting both Star Wars and Raiders? Like, is that
Yeah.
happening a lot now, or
Yeah, and
interesting? Yeah.
I mean, guilty.
Yeah. Well, sure, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know many people um, that if you're a Star Wars fan, you're not also a huge Indiana Jones
Of
fan.
course. Yeah. Of course.
Like they're
I
just
mean they were nose to nose. Yeah.
yeah, they
When they were
really are.
released
Like almost, and for me especially, like first Star Wars and the first Indy, Raiders and Star Wars to me are like
Yeah.
how do you choose? They're both so freaking good. Um, we have a lot of people that collect both, and I think
Mm.
look, we're giving a similar treatment, not as deep a dive on
Sure.
the indie stuff. And there's definitely some stuff coming from indie and things that we're working on that are not as deep cut
Mhm.
um, as like some of our Star Wars stuff is. But I think we're approaching it with the same respect for the artifacts, the same authenticity, the same
Of
crafting that
course,
we're
yeah, of
doing,
course.
the way that we're making this stuff, th- the unexpected choices,
Mhm,
that we approach the Star Wars line with. And I
yeah,
think that, it tickles the same part of the brain in a collector, that if they like what we're doing with Star Wars, you're gonna like what we're doing
of
with
course,
indie,
yeah,
like for sure.
that's kind of a no-brainer, yeah, for sure. I was just wondering because I know you also have just your Indiana Jones collectors, obviously,
Yes, there's definitely those.
which are there as well, so that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool that it's a very crossoverable type of
Yeah,
thing.
and I wonder. I'd have to see if there's a way to put a percentage to it. Like I wonder if I could do some kind of sales report, or bookkeeping software, and figure out like how many people actually buy both, how many people only
Yeah,
buy one or the other.
right.
Um, but it's definitely not an unusual thing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, no, I
So
listen.
even with the I was gonna say,
Good,
even with the
good,
indie
Jason. Good.
stuff, that's still a tricky one, right? Where it's kind of like hit or miss based on because like the urn, I mean that went
Oh gosh,
gangbusters. That thing was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
It
I think one popped up on Prop Store and sold for like 2K or
Well,
something.
yeah.
the staff did really well too, didn't it? Didn't the staff do really well?
The staff did really well. Yeah, that
Yeah,
sold very fast. The full staff, especially with the
right.
signature edition and the
It's
I mean,
beautiful.
that was one we didn't know how it was gonna do as
Yeah,
well. Because
yeah.
the so the Nurhachi urn, I think, had a few things going for it. It's it's a relatively high profile piece, although a lot of indie fans I know didn't know it right off the top of their
Mm,
heads. More casual fans. It's not like a hat or a whip or whatever, stuff that
sure.
like passes the mom test. Um, but if you're a fan, if you're a prop fan, you knew that one.
Yeah.
We also approached it with a level of authenticity and with so much effort on the back end of getting those to look and feel right. Um, that I don't, there's always a lot of fan made stuff out there, and I felt like that was one that hadn't been achieved before. And it was one of the
Mm,
reasons we chose it. It was like, I don't want to put out something that there's 100 different versions of the collectors already have,
sure.
because
Yeah.
if I'm only 10% better than it or 20% better than it, they might not want to trade up.
Mm,
So let's put something out that we can do way better than any example we've ever seen. If I take a moment and pat ourselves on the back,
mhm.
um, and put something out that is going to hopefully wow some people and still be the us choice, the unexpected choice, not leading with the gold idol or
Right,
the
right.
stuff that you can get in a Disney park, that kind of thing. Um, so it's it was the mix of that, and then us taking our we were kind of taking our cues from the Star Wars line and the Maquette line with the 150 piece edition, which we felt was high. Because we knew, I think it was a 499 price tag or 399. That was three. Um, and we thought, well, the Disney parks do their stuff so cheap,
Yeah,
price point wise, not
right.
necessarily how they make
Yeah.
it, but you know, we're just like, are people gonna not respond to this? Because
Mm.
this is our first thing doing it. And maybe people haven't come along for the ride yet on the indie side. Maybe they don't know.
Right, you're kinda introducing
Mm.
something to a new group of people
Yeah.
almost. Yeah, makes sense.
And then it sold out insanely fast, and
Yeah.
everybody's hunting for it. Now they sell for $2,000, and I'm like,
That's crazy.
like, so that's why all of our other indie editions, except for the Belloc signature, were done as timed editions.
Mm,
We put them up for
Makes
usually a
sense.
week, and that way it's like, you know what? Everybody gets a
interesting.
chance to buy it, and it still ends up limited. Look, the price that we do sets its own
Yeah,
limit. The
sure.
number of
Yeah.
people who find it in that week sets a limit, and uh it's not like we're doing 5,000,
No, sure, sure.
2,000, 1,000. Like it's still only
But
100,
Tom,
200, 300,
is
you know.
that something is that okay, so I don't have you done that with Star Wars yet? Have you done a timed edition?
We did it with Jar Jar, and we
Okay.
did it with Nine Numb.
Is that
Yeah,
a
no,
licensing thing that you have to be allowed to do that? Like, do you have to ask
Not
for that or is that
necessarily. It is something we talk about with Lucasfilm,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's part of the overall discussion of how you're releasing something. But
right.
for the most part, that's on us.
Okay, okay.
And with the Nine Numb, we did it because it was a 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi,
Mhm.
and we thought, let's give as many people a chance to get it as we wanted.
That makes
We
sense.
we only did one edition of him. It was a signature edition,
Right.
but it was just sort of like, okay, let's do it. I think 9 was time, but it was, let's do it in this way that
Mhm.
it is, that everybody has a shot at it. And then Jar Jar, it was because it was the first prequel piece, and
Mm,
we said, okay, we don't know how people are going to react to this, so
true.
let's put this out
Yeah,
with
that's
a
true.
timed edition and give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
And it still wound up being, pretty much the same kind of limit as the other Star Wars pieces. I
Right,
think it was,
right.
um
That's a nice looking piece too.
thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
Jaguar came out great.
that Tony McVeigh sculpt on
Yeah,
that
it's
is
really cool.
really good. His Just
Yeah.
all the wrinkles and folds are always so
Mhm.
natural on his stuff. Like, you can spot, some of these other ones you've got to look and try and figure out who worked on it, and maybe there's initials underneath it. Maybe you talk to the person and they tell you they did it or didn't do it. But Tony McVeigh is one of those ones where, like, we go through the prequel ones and we're like, it's like, okay, that's probably Mike Murnane. That might be this one. That could have been. Oh, that's Tony. This
Yeah,
could be this. Oh, there's Tony. Like,
right,
you just
right.
know immediately.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that. It's like listening to someone play guitar or production on a song. You're like, oh, that's so and so. Like you can
yeah, you
nail it.
know
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
who
yeah.
that's
who
really
it is.
hard when you can look at somebody's art and say that's
Yeah.
that's this.
But
That's fantastic.
see the with the Tom, with the Bellic stuff, it's not it didn't surprise me because of how detailed and how like how much that thing weighed, how like
It's huge.
it's
Yeah.
massive. Like
Yeah.
I don't that doesn't surprise me. People love that kind of stuff. Like it's
Those are actually set. Um I think the first wave of those, the first, 10 or 15 of them start shipping out next month.
oh wow, okay, cool.
Probably by the end of next month, those will be out, and we'll have another wave in plating after that.
Oh
So
yeah, 'cause
it's
you
just
have
going to
to
be the
plate
next few
you
months,
have to plate
just
everything.
going casting, cleanup, plating,
Right.
shipping, and just small batches.
That's crazy.
They're cool though, man.
And
They're
then do they come by the way, Tom, do they come in different pieces that you put together once you get
So
it or
it's the staff is 3 pieces.
okay.
It's the white kind of like,
Mhm.
John Hammond cane.
Yep.
Spared no expense.
Yep.
So it's that section, and then the 2 gold sections screw on.
Okay.
They're threaded
Did
with
they
that
use that
adhesion.
same cane? Is that the same thing that they used in
I
it
I
looks
don't
exactly
think
the
it's the
same.
same. No, I'm sure it's not the same prop, but it's definitely that same style. Like,
I was watching Jurassic Park the other day and I was like, that looks exactly
you
like
know,
that cane.
I've never really. I'm just guessing it's not the same prop, but I I don't
It's
know.
possible, isn't
Now
it?
I'm really curious, and I have to go and look. I know they've sold. I feel like Prop Store had one, or Heritage or something
Yeah.
at some point. I'll have to look.
You have to
Now I'm
look because
very
I
curious.
swear to God, I looked at it
Yeah,
and I think this was close to when we talked about the things on our spotlight or something.
yeah, yeah.
And I was in my head and I was watching and I was like, dude, that if it's not that same thing, I don't know how it could
Hmm.
be. Like, and I don't know if they would have had a couple of them and maybe just been like, let's pop the top off and put that little ball
Right.
thing on the top, right? Like,
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, there
or
is
that'd probably be
relational,
a
right?
pull a mold off of it or something, or
it's possible.
maybe it's the same prop guy. Who
Yeah,
knows?
right, right. It's
We'll
so
have to figure
interesting.
Could
that
be. It
out.
could be. I mean, if
Prop
Steven was working
mysteries.
with, yeah,
Yeah, it's
that'd
really
be
cool
kind of
though.
cool.
I
Really
love
cool.
prop archaeology. Like,
Yeah, it's so
like,
cool.
let's find this.
It's so cool. Yeah, anyway, I
Um,
mean, I think that's probably we probably need to wrap it up, Jay, but how do you feel? How do you feel about that thing?
this thing's magnificent, man.
It's good, huh? It's
That's
a good
why I'm
piece.
playing with his hair, and his hair's got this like little like
Yeah, it's a
I don't know,
good
it's just got
piece.
this like feel to it that just you would think that's like if he was real, this is what he
Yeah.
would like
Right.
feel like, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he
yeah,
almost
yeah.
kinda like makes your skin
Like
itch a
petting
little
a
bit, you know?
raccoon, you know?
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
cool.
exactly. It's like it's not
You
soft, it's not hard, but it's like
Jason,
right in between, like
to the eye, can you see the variations in the hair color? In
oh, very much so. Yeah,
yeah.
it's quite a bit. And I mean, I've known, Tom for years where I know that how much you obsess over even the
Sure.
chewy, all the different colors
Yeah.
and tones. But yeah, you can see like, like an ash color of gray, some white, almost like,
Mm.
when someone's aging and they get a little
Yeah,
salt and
yeah.
pepper in their beard. I mean, yeah, you definitely got quite a few tones and
It's one of my
yeah, it just
favorite
looks neat in the
furs,
eye.
I gotta
It's
say.
really
I
cool.
was very happy that
Yeah,
that was
it looks
something that
very
we
natural.
yeah. And
Yeah, I
that's
like it.
it, because most fur that you get these days is all one color. And,
Or
it's just
even the area that would be, I guess, like, I don't know, his sideburns? I mean,
yeah.
so you can't see now because of the lighting, but,
Yeah, that's where we
um,
go in and paint a little bit. Yeah. And
Yeah, you
that's
get a
like
little bit of
that,
that off
Judy did
color
that
that
on the
Oh,
original, so we matched it.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's subtle. Like when
yeah,
you asked me, that's when I looked. So like there's just always more detail to sort of pick out and unearth as you look it over. But yeah, the teeth, the eyes, everything. It's a fantastic and I love the gun. I mean, the gun just has a nice little throwback to the models and
Yeah, it's so
it's
cool.
just a
See,
fantastic piece.
Rob, one weekend, I came back in on, I think it was Monday, and Rob had taken the gun from mine and painted the bottom of it like one of Eddie Van Halen's guitars. And
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
just like he's just
With the
there
red
rocking
the red
out.
and white.
Yeah.
it looks like he
That's
could be
awesome.
holding a guitar as
Oh,
well, like,
totally.
it's
Yeah.
so funny.
See
Yeah, it
him
looks
snacking
great.
on some biscuits, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, he looks like he's been smoking for a long time. I mean,
He hasn't, he hasn't got much sleep.
yeah.
No, yeah, no, he is
No,
definitely has the eye bags.
but listen, Tom, congrats again. It's just,
Thank you.
it's great to see. I love, um, whether it's something on pickup or not, I love seeing your pieces sell and
Thanks.
for that to continue because long may this continue and we keep getting
Thank you very
very
much.
fun pieces from Regal Robot. I think you guys do a fantastic job. So I really
Thanks.
commend you guys on keeping with that quality and that all that stuff. So it's killer.
I really appreciate it, and I got a hat tip to the crew that works for me,
Of
and
course.
we put so much work into developing this stuff, but they make it happen, and they make they make the copies of them, and
Yeah.
what's been great is the speed that they're going at now, and where like you know the Yuzzum was basically ready to ship except for the wood bases.
Oh, good.
The wall cabashites were ready to ship when they went up for sale. They're going to be, so it's like I said, this week those should start going out. The next 2 pack is going to be ready to go. Like they're already working on some other stuff that is for later in the year. I love being able to do that. I love
Yeah.
being able to like put something out and then put it in people's hands. If they pay in full, we're going to ship it right away a lot of the
You
time.
just don't have a lot of
That's a big
space though,
that's a
Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the
That's why it's like,
problem.
please pay in full so we can get this out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
got people working in the corner by the second bathroom now, like, why don't we sit over
Yeah.
here? Just
Yeah, no,
busy.
there have definitely been days. We had last week we had stuff here. We had a number of crates that came in from an auction house that had to be cataloged and then sent off to someone. And it was almost the breaking point for space. Like it was just with everything else we had going with all this other stuff. And it's just those crates left this weekend. We're like, okay, breathe. Like we can do this. Let's move some stuff around. Let's get rid
Yep.
of some things. We can make this work.
That's so
Here's
funny.
the other thing, real quick, before we go.
Yeah.
I know not everybody has had a chance to sort of visit your space, but some collectors have. What I love about it is it's almost like, when they shut down, was it the 31210 studios, right? It just had that, it just that air of specialness to it, right? I feel
Yeah.
like your space and you guys work out of, obviously you could probably benefit from a larger space, more new space, but there's just so much, even in the last decade or so that you've been there, the history, the way you guys produce things, the way you do things by hand, it just has its feel and its element, and
Thank
it's
you.
your environment, it's your space, right? I feel like it would be weird if you ever left that space.
It really would be. It would be also a huge pain in the ass. We
Yeah,
had to
I
move.
Oh
imagine.
yeah, I
We have
mean,
so much stuff.
logistical
But no,
nightmares
it
too.
is. Yeah, and we're at about 20 people full time now at the space,
Mhm.
and um that's split between, there's maybe there's a bunch of us doing development, there's 3D, there's people, they're just doing shipping, there's Katie and Christine doing the customer stuff, bookkeeping, whatever, but there's a solid 13, 14 people doing art.
Mm.
And like how great to be, we get, my favorite thing is when the delivery guy shows up like with someone's food, and like they walk into the lobby and they're immediately surrounded by first off the weirdos that work with me, great, but then
Yeah.
also like there's a Salacious Crumb in the lobby, there's a big
Right.
muff tack in the lobby, there's a whole bunch of rubber masks from creatures we did for commercials and things like that. There's monsters on the wall, the faces and humans and things everywhere. And it's just like they come in like,
Wow,
Where am
where
I?
am I? Because like,
because
they walk past
it's so
very
untelling and
normal.
inconspicuous
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very normal, nondescript exterior on purpose.
Yeah.
um, and it's so fun to see people that like delivery folks coming in and just like, what do you do here? That's the question all the time.
And
Like,
why did you order Taco Bell? Like,
right.
yeah, it's interesting.
Again. You know,
Again, for the
I feel
Right.
like twice in one day is a bad idea.
yeah, it's bad.
Especially,
Oh,
especially that tight space.
That's
I have
funny.
one last question. I know we've been going
yeah.
for a bit, but in we don't have to go all to the details time wise with the licensing. I know that when you do the run, there's X amount that can be go to Lucasfilm, Disney, etc. But when you have somebody participating like Judy, or maybe not, I'm sure Phil has seen enough of his own work. But
Yeah.
as you mentioned, like, these guys are seeing that this stuff is being celebrated 30, 40, 50 years later. Have you ever seen somebody that's like doing a signature or a sketch, see one of the pieces and be like, hey, can I get one of those? That looks awesome. Does that happen?
They almost all of them.
I would,
And
Oh, that's
that's
okay. That's fantastic.
it's one of my favorite things. And believe it or not, Phil is one of those.
mm,
When you go
Oh,
to
I would have never
Phil's
guessed.
studios, he's got display cases of our things because they're these memories of things he made
yeah,
that he
sure.
doesn't have. It's at the archives. He doesn't. So
Yeah.
for him to be able to get a lineage piece that's scanned right off the original and now is in his hands, uh, you know, that's a pretty neat thing. And I always I expected him to be a little over it or a bit, maybe jaded or something like that. He has that reputation, but no, 201, almost every one of them.
But Tom, you don't waste a signature plaque on them, do you?
No, we say you can sign your own,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly. I mean,
yeah.
I can't imagine you send them their own
You
sketch, and
can
he's
your
like,
own.
"Oh,
No,
great."
no, yeah, we do not. No,
Okay, I was
those
gonna say
that's and that's yeah,
Yeah, you have
that's
to allocate a signature in a
that's
sketchbook.
we
that's even
wasted the good
something. Yeah,
surprise
we
on you.
very, very much do not. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's. I was wondering. That's cool. That kind of makes sense. I would have guessed. I kind of would have guessed that because I feel like if you've had your hand in these things, like you said, you don't have. It's not like you have them. They have
Right.
they have them, or in some cases, not the ones that you're scanning and using, but like on some of these props and stuff, they just got tossed.
Yeah.
Like they're not
Yeah.
even. People don't have any access to these things. So like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
Just
think you'd want
gone.
them. You think you'd want them. Yeah, for sure. That's really cool. It's really cool.
I hear from collectors all the time that as they start collecting the maquettes, they start, researching, and then all of a sudden somebody's looking for this book or the art,
Yes.
the Indiana Jones Star Wars book, or people start collecting the books and they're looking at
Yeah.
images, and it's fantastic to see that.
That's
Mhm.
some of my favorite stuff to do. We do a lot of giveaways on the Facebook group, the Regal Robot Fan and Collector Showcase on Facebook. Please
Join
join
today.
us. Um, Subtle, right?
Yeah,
But
that's fine.
like to me, like that's some of my favorite stuff to do giveaways with because it's like
Mhm.
it's almost like a shopping list, but it gives people the foundation and the behind the scenesness of like the backstory of why we're doing this. It's like it's because of this book. It's because years ago I flipped through this and saw this weird version of one of these characters that I never saw before, and was like, oh my god, that's amazing, and that's giving people that foundation. I think is just such a great thing, and it's cool. I like people. We did a giveaway for it was the From Star Wars to Indiana Jones, the best of the Lucasfilm Archives book.
Mm.
Highly, highly recommend this book. If you don't have it, go find it. It's it's
Yeah,
one of
great
the
images.
best prop books out there. Yeah. It's like, and if you're a collector, if you even just like replica props, or if you just want to research props, or if you just like, Star Wars and are curious about the stuff that was in it and what's in the archives, um, oh man, like it's a must-have book. I can't imagine like being a Star Wars fan and not having that on the shelf with all the other books. And we did a giveaway for that, and it was like we had more entries on that giveaway than we had for something that was like worth 400 or 500 bucks. And it was like people just wanted the book.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's I love that stuff.
that's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, all
it's
this, all these collectibles, they tend to get people into many other like it's just a rabbit hole that goes
Right.
deeper and
Yeah.
deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah.
And hopefully at the end of the rabbit hole is the regalrobot.com website.
Well, it is right.
banner at the bottom.
That
It is
really
wild.
is like I feel like that would be a great commercial for us, would be like just like somebody in a field and they find it's like, "Oh, a rabbit hole," and they fall down it, and
Exactly.
then, like, they just go past all these props on the way down, and then they wind up on the Regal Robot website,
Alice in Wonderland falls to the bottom, goes to
like
the door, and it's
and
like,
they're, like,
"Oh, here's"
holding a whole bunch of Maquettes and a Tuscan Raider and a Wampa, and,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Oh my
uh,
gosh.
come
No,
down
I
the rabbit hole.
listen, if obviously, if anybody is watching this that for some I mean, look, it's so funny, Tom, when you were talking about, like, go to, our Facebook page and join and
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, I feel like in some ways, I feel like we're reviewing fast food and you're just telling people to go eat at McDonald's because
Right.
like all these people,
They're aware of it.
they all know, like,
Yeah,
they're all the part of our group, they're part of your group,
yeah.
they're part, everybody knows it,
We're
but
preaching, they're the choir. Got
exactly.
it, you know?
If you haven't,
Yeah,
go check
yeah,
out Regal Robot,
yeah.
go join their
Okay, how
Facebook
about
group.
this one? Support what we do by
Yes.
telling your friends to
Yes.
join the
The
Regal
friends
Robot
that
Fan and
aren't
Collector
there.
Showcase or follow us on YouTube or socials.
Exactly.
There you
That's
go.
even
If you
better.
haven't yet done that, do it. Go
Exactly.
get some more folks
I
and
will
have
say
them be a part of the fun.
Tom, the Facebook group's great. Like you said before,
Thanks.
it really
Oh
It's
does.
a
yeah.
good group. Good lot of good
It's a good
people.
group, a lot of good people, and it's honestly, it's interesting every time I see a post on that group, it reminds me of how it's people that are just overly excited about collectibles, like getting something from
Oh yeah.
the Regal
Totally
Robot. They're
appeals.
just so beside themselves,
Yeah.
and it's just fun. It's just
Uh,
it's a fun group of people that are excited. I love it.
and it is it is probably the best place for folks if they want to interact with
Yeah,
me or Rob or
sure.
any of the folks at the shop that
Mhm.
that take care of stuff there, because we're on there every day. We check the posts,
Yeah.
we answer questions,
Well, you put a
we
lot of
post
sneak peek
hints.
stuff up, like a lot of things that other people aren't seeing. I mean,
Yeah,
again, you gotta, when you post things, they get posted in other groups. So, like, other
yeah,
people are seeing them around, but at
yeah.
the same time, if you want to see stuff right away, for Regal
That's
Robot,
the place to
that's
go.
the place
Yeah.
to be for sure.
And
100%.
Sam's been doing a lot of fun video stuff lately too.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to loosen up a little on that, and trying to make things a little more fun and interesting. And she's had some really clever ones.
Tom, you don't have your own YouTube channel yet, do you?
Oh yeah,
Oh, you do?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know
It's
why.
at Regal Robot on YouTube,
Okay. Okay.
and it's we've got a whole bunch of like interviews with me talking with
Oh, that's right.
all these folks from ILM and all of that
That's
stuff.
right.
There's also the Tom Spina Designs page where I've got the long format of those. So
Yeah.
basically, like, I'll talk to Chris Wayless for an
Right.
hour, and we'll cover Gremlins and Dragon Slayer and
Right.
Raiders and all these other movies. And then on the Regal page, we'll maybe put out, a 15-minute
Well,
one only about his Star Wars aliens, because it's more related to the licensed
and
stuff.
something you specifically do mainly just to the Facebook page, which is also a benefit for joining, is you do a lot of lives
Yeah.
for every like for almost every product, I
For
feel
every
like.
major release, yeah, we
Right.
try and do a live
Mhm.
Q&A just before it
Mhm.
comes out.
Which is
Um,
great.
I
And
love
that's a
I
great way to
to
get questions in and
Yeah.
things like that
Yeah,
To
too.
me, there is no better format than question and answer on that
yeah,
stuff.
that's great.
It's like, I the you know, most people think of collectibles, and or Star Wars things for folks to collect or whatever, and they're thinking Hasbro or Sideshow or Gentle Giant, or all of these companies have been around forever that are massive. And it's like, look, we have the benefit of being small,
Yeah,
and you get something out of that. You get a directness out of that. You get interaction out of that.
yeah,
And you know as long as that's possible, we're going to keep that up.
yeah, yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that Rob and I have so much fun doing those lives and just answering people's questions. There's a lot of laughs when we do them, and it's just we do them live on the Regal Robot Facebook page. We get the questions on the Regal Robot fan group on Facebook, and then after, usually the night of, we'll share the video to YouTube as just like an in case you missed it,
Sure.
just so that folks
Yeah,
over there who follow us can see it.
nice.
But
Nice.
if you have to be, you'll be in the Facebook group. You can see when it's coming. You can put your questions ahead of time, or you'll know when to watch it live, and you can interact right
Yeah,
there,
and it's
ask
nice to
questions, ask
sometimes
follow
every
ups,
once
and
in a while.
whatever.
It's also
Say
a
that
great
again, Jake?
time to every once in a while catch a little sneak peek of a tease here and there for things that are
Yeah,
upcoming.
yeah, yeah. We
And
like to always
you have
leave
to look forward,
a
but it can
little hint
sometimes
at
be
what's
there.
next. Yeah. And
Yeah,
whatever we
it's
can.
a
It's
good time.
funny, you know, we're already um we're probably already technically late to do it, but we're already, we are working on our teasers for San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, cool.
Um
Wow.
and
Okay.
right now trying to whittle down what's going to be, what will be the things we announce there, because
Mhm.
last year that went over huge.
Yeah.
People really reacted well to that.
Yeah.
And we've gotten almost everything out from that list so far. um, Things that aren't out yet are in the works. The Tauntaun skulls are coming. They're currently in production. We've gotten the sampling done, and now it's just into uh, production mode to make sure the production samples all look good, and then we'll figure out where they're going to get released. Um, the space slugs are still in development. They are
Mhm.
done with digital though, and just basically we're trying to figure out the way to do them to get the best possible price for folks on them.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to take a minute on them and just kind of rethink and make sure that we're doing the best we can for folks. And then the what was the last one? Oh, Effantmon.
Mhm.
Effantmon is actually in production already, and we're just looking for the right slot to put him in terms of releasing him.
Crazy.
Nice.
The two
That's gonna
pack's
be a big
going up
one.
ahead of him because he's substantial, and
Yeah.
he has a lot going on with that cloak and the distressing, and
It's
he's got
good that you
hair, and
said
he's
that because when you were
huge.
going towards like when you started saying how like they don't go together, but they there's all I could think about was like, well, maybe it's him and Salacious, that one picture of them that exists where like
Oh,
he's like Salacious is gonna wrestle. I was like, there's a chance, right?
but
You
there
never know.
wasn't
But then when
the
you said,
Salacious
it
Maquette,
would be
unfortunately. So, yeah,
oh yeah, that's right, there isn't.
yeah, not going to tell you any more than that, Jason. Nice try.
Uh,
But no, this has been awesome. I liked the idea that we got to do the unboxing at the same time this time
Yeah, that
around.
was
It
cool.
was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah,
well,
anybody
and
who's
and Tom,
yeah,
I'm excited to hear you talk about Comic Con. I mean, we'll be there. I think Jason's going to
yeah,
come.
we'll be there. Yeah,
Cool.
I'll be around.
Cool.
We'll
Yeah, yeah.
we'll
Yeah,
definitely be there. It's going to be fun.
right now Rob is a definite, and Rob will be giving the panel.
Nice.
I am on we'll see if I'm going to
Yeah.
get there. We've got some other travel ahead of that for some other projects that I've
Yeah.
got to be on. So, um we're going to balance it out, but
It's
if
still great
nothing
that
else,
Regal Robot will be there though,
Regal
right?
will be at the Lucasfilm collectibles high-end collectibles update panel, which is like
Nice.
the premier panel for the high-end collectibles people to announce what's coming up in the following year,
Love it.
and talk about what they have in the works. And all I can say is we are going to have to pick and choose what we put in there because we have so much in the works. But it's
That's
all really
Amazing.
cool, and
great.
as soon as we can share more, we will,
Killer.
on the Regal Robot Fan and Collector Showcase on Facebook.
We're gonna flip that, and we're gonna like have it play through all.
It's so good.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Like
So
Rob should
it's gonna
just
be a
like every
YouTube short now.
slide, just
Yeah, this is gonna be a YouTube short. Every time you doom scroll on
yeah.
Instagram or TikTok, it's gonna be join.
Well, what was that in Idiocracy? There was like brought to you by Carl's Jr. It's like just do that every time. Regal Robot Fan and
Oh
Collector
my
Showcase.
gosh. I love it.
Oh my
I
god.
love it.
But
Well,
yeah, guys,
Guys,
I mean, this is
thank
it.
you so
So,
much. So glad you like him. His little red knees,
he's fantastic. He's fantastic.
and his kneecaps. I love it. Look at
his
the
little
kneecaps.
pink kneecaps. Yeah.
I think we'll probably, just so everybody else knows, I think we'll probably do another unboxing when I get mine at some point down the line. Because I think I'd like to do that again, just when I get it. But I'm looking forward to it. And Tom, thanks again for your time. Really appreciate your time. And
My pleasure.
Jason, I
Yeah.
appreciate you putting this together. That was really cool.
Always so much fun. Yeah, happy we got to do it, and yeah, thanks to everybody who's watching, and to all the folks who help us to continue to do what we do. We really appreciate that support, and there's nothing cooler than seeing our stuff in people's collections. That
Killer.
makes me really happy.
Love it. All right, guys, that's gonna be it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.